welcome to a stream session. We are back after a decent break, and I did state that I was going to have a new setup. I've got my lovely cutting board, camera, my hands, got all sorts of projects on the go, and it's so much easier to operate as the camera is directly above me. It's taken me a while to set up. I can show things, I can model, I can build, I can go pants on head crazy. And this is actually ideal for making tutorials as well. So who knows what else can occur. While I am still talking, don't mind my appeal. Very, very cold. I need to keep warm. It's like being naked in a blanket while being warm. It's fantastic. But what's going on here? I have to go on Twitch. I didn't even set up my tablet. What the fuck am I doing? Not prepared whatsoever. But that's okay. We just need to make sure that we're live. So as soon as this gives me an indication we're not choppy, we're not nasty, whatever, we'll get into a little modeling, we'll get into a little talking, and if we... Hello! That's okay, we just need to make sure that we're live. So, that is absolutely awesome. Someone exited host mode. Whatever the fuck that means. That actually might have been me. So anyway, we are working on a resin anime figure. I've done a lot since the last few videos. I've pinned it, put magnets, I've assembled it, it stands well. A lot of it has been on my Facebook page, and we're getting close to painting. I actually forgot I was making a money sack as well. We're getting very, very, very close to painting, which I want to do very shortly to enter this in a competition. Early November, which we're not too far. The harder stuff's been done. I always get caught up in assembly and preparation of a resin kit. I feel that this time around I've done very, very well. This kit stands on its own with the pins and its own weight. And it doesn't really require that much glue or other assistance, so it's not too bad on its own base. What I need to do is clean up these last 15 pieces, being resin. It's a castogen. I've got some water. I've got a selection of sandpapers that have been used. They're a bit manky. That's okay. And once it's all sanded, either tonight or tomorrow I will start priming them. I thought there was something weird on my screen. And then we're going to, we'll prime it and we'll start going through the painting process. I've got a completely different color scheme in mind than what is depicted in the kits. It's got red and black armor and whatnot. We'll be going for metallic armor, rusted, buff colored leathers, dark brown tanned leathers, and the skirt is going to be a tartan style kilt. I've changed the position of her sword because she wasn't quite holding it too correctly, so that's been arranged, and there's long pins in there so it holds together. Some pieces will be glued together, some not. And one thing that is probably a little unique to my style is there are large holes in certain places. This is for when I put everything on pegs. They will be able to stand and get painted instead of being on one surface. Example, I could put this peg in here. It stands on its own free weight on a board, and that can be airbrushed. Absolutely no issues. So I'll put her away. Going to do my sanding. And then we will sort it out, take a few photos for the YouTube channel, and then we will start mounting it ready for painting. I might have to dig up some sandpaper to, not sandpaper, I might need to dig up some blue tack to mask areas that are going to be glued. Resin glues very well together. Where resin on painted surface, you're only gluing the two painted or primed surfaces, and that causes a lot of problems. If there's any breakages or whatever, it'll break at the join of the paint to the part and not the glue on the part to the part. Thinks I'm offline for some reason. Whatever, we'll quickly check what if we are online. I think we should be. Part. Yeah. Thinks I'm offline for some reason. Whatever. Fuck you, Twitch. Drank. So after all that talking, let's finally get into some modelling. Got my sandpapers organised down the side here from high grits. This is 120 grits going into the few hundreds all the way to 2000 grits. Even though with the high grits they scratch into the plastic quite heavily, they will remove maximum amount of materials such as putties and imperfections and whatnot. But they'll leave heavy scratching marks, and that will come up in the paintwork. The idea is we're going to move. It works on how much pressure you apply, and it also works on how much pressure you apply. It also works on how deep it scratches into the material. So we're going to apply it very lightly and just remove as much of the pink putty as we can. And once it starts to die down and look a bit transparent and it's scratching away and we can feel scratch marks in it, we move our way down to the high grit sandpapers, but we apply more pressure. So here, it's just a little pressure, trying to make it smooth, trying to blend it all in together. I'm constantly dipping my sandpaper in water. We're dealing with resin. Resin, airborne, is a carcinogen. It's not very healthy for your lungs, causes health problems. The putty is a resin base. It's fiberglass, single parts bog putty for automotive bodywork. It's very thin, so it's for fine scratches and whatnot. It's got a pungent odour when of application. It is a form of resin. You do need to wear a mask when applying it, but airborne, that's also resin, and it needs to be treated the same. Now, the best thing about resin dust is when it's wet, it clumps together. It can't go airborne because it's mixed in with water. If you keep it wet and you sand it and you dip in the water, all the excess dust is kept in the water. And that way, you're not breathing it in. It's not becoming airborne whatsoever. Absolutely genius. That means you can work and build your resin anywhere. Public places, model meetings, on the bus. Doesn't matter. You're not going to be hurting people. You're not going to be pissing people off. I probably told this story a few times. When I went to Japan for the third time, I went to Joint Festival run by Volks. And it's a big resin modelling thing. Part of it is ball-jointed dolls and trains. So I was in the resin modelling bit. Got to see displays, finished models, competition, sale area. And there was a workshop. People working on resin model kits. And it was really, really, really cool. And there was just so many people just sitting in groups of tables and they're sanding and building and checking their kits out. And I was like, I really want to watch them and interact. But just a pungent odor of just airborne resin. And it's like, how are they not aware of the health risks? A lot of them did seem quite young, but there's just no awareness of that over there. And that is a big disappointment that they're going to have terrible breathing and respiratory illnesses later on in life. They had like a lot of sandpaper and water, would not have been a quarter of an issue. But yeah, I just couldn't even get anywhere close because it just disturbed me too much by the sheer smell. So we're done with the high grit. We're moving down to the next grit, and we can apply a bit harder. And we can try to smooth it out and buff out a lot of those finer scratch marks. And you can actually feel it that it's becoming a lot smoother to the touch. Now this is the surface pit. This is what's going to be visible. This is not exactly going to be that visible. It's going to be mostly covered. I still like to keep it fairly neat for fitting purposes. So this is why I'm putting that much effort into it. It's also good practice of knowing how much to sand for resin and not, but it's just a thing that I do. So we're just going to smooth it out further. We'll do the reverse end. We'll do the two parts. Start taking photos. We can start assembling. It's all going to be good fun. And I'm noticing with this new setup, I could just look up. I could see my own work. I could see the green pad. I could see my hands. I could see the parts around me. It's pretty cool. I love the little box where you can visually see me. A bit unkempt, yeah, it's all out, wearing the baggy outfit, but that's alright, not too worried or concerned whatsoever. It's all cool. All cool. But yeah, now, because we've got the webcam here and whatnot, we should definitely be hosting and streaming far more often. I will be advertising, because I'm feeling really comfortable now. I will be advertising this on social media a bit more, and we'll probably try to do a few hours once a week. Play with that. If it works out, we can expand, retract, figure out shows, whatever can work out. Would love it to be a Q&A style session. People ask questions, give them answer. Might even do some live demonstration and just live working on these jobs and stuff. It's going to be an absolute treat. But I'm not dealing with that poor camera, because I could see with my own picture, as the camera, it's a bit jerky, it's a bit grainy, it's just shit. And I'm looking at this Logitech that I bought, and it's just absolutely crystal clear and beautiful. And I was looking at the image off my tablet, and it looked pretty nice. And I just can't be any more happier. Didn't sound too shit whatsoever. So that's looking alright. We got most of that down with the 200 or 300 something grit. We go to something a bit more finer, getting from more removing material to polishing the material, getting it nice and smooth. Once we go down to 2000, she's ready to take paint, and it should be like there never was even any putty in this well whatsoever. It should be very, very nice. And probably should avoid these awkward silences or anything. I'm considering sticking the radio on just for a little background noise. Might do that as I'm just drawing a bit of a blank of just random garbage to talk about. And I have mentioned it before. It'd just be easier to bounce off a chat. We don't have the audience yet. We're working up for that. Not a problem. Could be a bit goofy, crass, fucked. Could be a bit nice, a bit modelly. Don't know. All I will know is with this one, I want to talk and show off the shit, or the shids, so I could dump this on the PhD Manchild YouTube channel. Sort of go like, look, this is what we're going, this is what we're doing. This is some resin modeling in action. It could be a bit of fun. With this project, this kit that I am building, It's a 50-part model kit from E2046. They're a recaster. They get existing resin kits, and when they're a bit hard to come by, limited amounts released or whatever, they get a copy of the kit. They do a casting. They sell the castings and just make a kit readily more available to more people at a profit, because whoever does the sculpt and sell it only has the capacity to make so many, sell so many, make a profit, and they may or may not make more or not make more. Or a company who's quite large and makes tens of thousands of these many years ago don't want to make it anymore because it's just not a market for them to be making many thousands or many hundreds. E2046 will jump in and make batches. I don't know how big their batches are, if they're in the tens, the hundreds, or the many hundreds or the thousands, but they make as many as they get orders on their website, and people are either liking them or putting them in their wish lists or whatnot. They'll make a heap, and then they'll have a heap in store, and they'll just sell it live on their website. And they'll have anything up to a few hundred kits in their catalogue. So there's always a lot to choose from to build that are fairly newish kits or older kits. And the fact that they're making older kits that have not been available for a long time available again, even though it is an infringement on copyright, I am more on the side of I want to sit down, build this kit, and have access to. If they're going to put in all the effort and the legal risks of footing it, I am very happy to hand them over some cash and build it, because the original owner has sort of forsaken the sale of it for a period of time, where, if possible and within reason of price, I would happily buy an original kit. When that's off the table and I really want it, I will splash out for something like this. It is a salty topic. It is very controversial, but it's the fact of, do you want to spend way too much money on someone that's reselling it and they're pocketing the profit, or the profit goes to someone that's putting in effort to making it more available to a community and profiting it off that? It's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You're putting money into someone's pocket that's not 100% ethical, but at least E2046 are modelers themselves. They're passionate about the hobby themselves. They like seeing finished kits. They probably build themselves, most of them, because they display kits and whatnot. I can't imagine that their motives is just pure greed and profit, but also enjoyment of the hobby and making kits just more available. And I'm sort of down for that. In the way of cast quality and whatnot, you buy a kit that's not exactly up to scratch. You put your skills to the test, and you try to make it as good as possible. Anyway, it's absolutely smooth to the touch. We've gone down to 2000 grit. If I was to hit that with primer, you won't see much of a line or anything, but because there's multiple types of putties used in it, it has a bit of a marbled effect. Now on the other side, what happened was I drilled a hole all the way through to stick the pins in, and there's a pinhole, so I applied putty on top of that. What we need to do is get rid of that surface putty blob, sand it down back to bare resin, and we'll just see a pink hole, and then it won't ever be like there was ever two pins stuck through it. It's a bit time consuming, but the fit is quite elegant, so I'm pretty happy about that. Alright, so again, it's all about how much pressure you apply. There's a bit of detail around. Be very mindful of where you're sanding. You're not obliterating any fine lines, raised surface detail, rivets, or sort of deforming or scratching way too much in the material. And you just keep testing with your finger how it feels. Where do you need to remove more material? And then once you've got most of it down, we swap to the next grit. And here we're just being a lot more careful, because this will be seen, and there's not much you can hide with paint. Paint is very thin, and any sort of mistake or imperfections that you put in the finish will be visible. So most of that is gone. It's not a pink blob anymore. It's just a smallish collection. Now we can just quickly go through down all the grits, and we can just polish those scratches down to a very, very smooth surface. And you can see that that's where the hole used to be. Very fascinating. Still lacking a bit of an audience. That's alright. I did not expect an audience tonight anyway. Again, it is something we should build. But I love it that I can look at the screen. I can see what the fuck is going on. I reckon the most fun bit is when it's a challenge. We're very close to a competition. I need to sit down and shut the fuck up and just model hard for many, many hours. And you know you're going to see me at the Gunpla Builders World Cup or Model Expo or something, in a matter of days. You just chuck in and go like, look at Alan, he's fucking it up. He's only got very, very little done. So that could be very, very amusing. I thought could be quite fun. So we'll see how that goes. But this piece is doing well. Resin is just very, very, very time-consuming, very, very repetitive. It's quite exciting, and the results look great. Work in progresses look great. And I just never thought why there wasn't, let's build resin modeling. You can see it for a lot of the styrene stuff. You got nippers, you got runners, you got test fitting, all that. But it's cut, snap, you're done. There's a lot of visual, exciting things going on. But then when you come down to it and you're looking at someone build resin, pinning, you're seeing someone drill about 300 holes. Sanding, you can see them sand about 20, 40 pieces, and they're resanding the same areas over and over and over again, and applying putty and all that. And you open a box, you're shown a heap of parts, and you're going to be looking at those same parts for a very long time by just removing runners and cleaning and washing and doing all sorts of stuff. So it might not be the most exciting thing to watch, but it's something that's not overly covered online as much as styrene modeling, Gunpla, all that sort of thing. There's a lot of people on Twitch doing military modeling, tanks, and Gunpla, but I haven't really seen much. Oh, and Warhammer. But I haven't seen much people doing, scratch building or resin or airbrushing or anything fun like that. So I'm very hoping to sort of fill in at that point. But being a rank amateur at streaming, that will take time to do. It'd be kind of cool to do the whole partner thing and do this full time. That would be mad fucking fun. But it is what it is. I'm a very, very, very vain bastard. Anyhow, this is just turning out alright. Can't complain at all. We're being very careful where we're sanding and what detail we are and are not obliterating. That's why when I drilled the holes for the pins, I was very selective where I was going to do that, not to interrupt any detail. I'm actually sort of flattening it a bit there, so I want to cut back on removing material. Otherwise, that layer will be on level with that layer, and there won't be much of a difference, and it'll just look really, really weird and wrong. I don't want to apply putty, so what I might do is sand a bit here to remove a bit of material there, just so that ledge is more obviously made. Things are just seen as clear as crystal with this camera. It's really, really cool. So, I'll just wash off some of the shit. Clean up after ourselves. And we'll just keep trucking. Wipe down and clean the parts, because with the resin water, there is resin dust in it. It's going to set on there. It's not necessarily dangerous to be on the surface, but when you're painting, it's a dirty surface. The paint is sticking to the dirt. not to the part. It's not going to adhere well, and there's a risk of it lifting or doing all sorts of problems. Anyway, this is one finished as fuck part. I can be very, very, very happy with that. This camera autofocuses every now and then. That's a pain in the ass. Maybe it's because my hands are moving too quickly for it or something. I don't know, but I wish I'd just fucking quit it. Anywho, next part. Same bullshit all over again. And we could see that both of these were at the same point. That's all smooth and nice, and it's mostly resin. That's a lot of peak, and there's a lot of textured lines, and you can see where the cotton swab was used with the putty. It's not very pleasant to look at. So we're going to sand all of that down back to resin, and where there was a few holes and marks and raised putty and whatnot is going to be all gone. It's going to count for something, not nothing, and it'll be pretty sweet. What it means when someone hosts you, because I'm getting hosted like exit host and enter host and host this and no host that. No fucking idea. Really need to learn this platform more. Got a few mates trying to help me out and give me some tips and shit. I'll go around it. It is a video gaming platform, and I'm not big on the whole video gaming thing. So even though there is, hundreds of thousands of people on Twitch at any one time playing or watching, most of these people come here for the video games, nothing else. So I'm just here to take advantage of the platform and just share my brand and what I do and whatnot. So that it works well for me, and I'm just going to just funnel people here from my social media. So I've got a platform, not complaining about the platform, but picking up an audience from the established platform ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen at all. But yeah, that's completely cool and dope. So just gotta check on a few shit. There we're going. Too easy. We're live. We're not having any problems. And we're just fucking sanding away. Menial task. Boring task. But it is what it is. The finished result's going to be very worthwhile. Can't wait to get into painting. So that's going to be a lot of fun. That's when big change happens constantly and thoroughly. And there'll be a lot to look at, especially in the work in progresses. Man, if I could just fathom that, I think I've probably invested about 30 hours into this kit. It's just absolutely mind crazy for me. Never done this much work on a resin model before. I've learnt so much. I've got pinning and assembly and all that. I kind of screwed up assembly a bit on my Miku. I rushed that a bit and just made some terrible, terrible assembly mistakes, even though I did okay with the painting. The other kit, the kit was already very, very well assembled and could pretty much assemble under its own weight, but it's not good to rely on that because very few kits are actually like that. And I have to get used to getting things assembled really well. There's an aircraft flying over my house, so that's what that noise is. It just disturbed me a bit for a very short period of time. After this, I've got another figure to pin and paint. A Girls and Panzer figure from Volks. It's lovely. It's actually pre-coloured, but I'm going to paint it anyway. I think it's pretty cool. That's alright. That's done. Next grade. Might have actually used the 120 a little too much. I think I've sort of scarred the plastic bit. Got a bit distracted. But that's alright. We can fix that. Not too much of a problem. Though, from the last time that I sanded it down to nothing, it's looking a lot better than it did last time. There's just all sorts of pools of putty and scratches and marks and holes and all sorts of things, and it just wasn't too pretty. Now it's looking alright. So I put a blob of epoxy here, so there was more material for the pin to dig into rather than just a few mil of resin and metal pins where things can snap and go horribly wrong. There's actually some sort of form of support. What I've done with these are also pretty interesting and clever, as it's 3 tiny thin pieces, and then I thickened it in a bit. Yet it still contours to the shoulders okay. Would say it's amazing, but it's not too bad. It's all right. And yeah, sanding and sanding and sanding. I think the next thing that I will be doing on Twitch is some scratch building, some sculpting with putty and working with styrene and all that, and just do something that's completely different. I'm working on a super fumina. I'm doing 3 of them. I need to get a 3rd one finished. Then it's all good. Oh, sanding is so tedious. Sort of just focusing on it a bit and just looking at it and whatnot. I might cut myself off. I'm pretty happy with this effort. Thank you if you watch this short, blurby, vomity, whatever crap of me talking and working on the resin kit. I might turn it on when I do something a bit more exciting, like prepping or whatever. Stay tuned. I'll try to do something weekly. If you're watching this on YouTube, click on the link down below and follow me on Twitch. So you know when I'm broadcasting, you can jump on and go, yeah, this fat cunt's broadcasting, let's check it out. Catch you, motherfuckers, later. Peace out.